newspaper. With respect to the humanitarian aid, was Qatar part of the operations of dropping relief aid from the air? And what are the steps taken by Qatar to ensure the continued delivery of aid, namely in the port? With respect to the airdrop of relief aid, I have no specific information. However, Qatar supports all efforts aiming at the swift and constant delivery of relief aid. As we reiterated before, one form of delivery of relief aid is not sufficient. Gaza and Gazans are teetering on the verge of a famine. Any delivery of aid by land, sea, and air is not sufficient. That's why Qatar will continue to support all forms of delivery of relief aid, and we commend the regional international efforts in this respect. I do not believe Qatar has a specific card to play with or use the humanitarian aid as a pressuring card. We have a humanitarian role to play. It is very unacceptable. It is shameful that the humanitarian aid is used as a weapon against Gaza and Gazans, and it cannot be used as a card in the ongoing negotiations. We are doing our best with our regional and international partners in order to ensure the continued flow of relief aid by all forms and through all conceivable means into Gaza. As reported by the United Nations, Gaza and the Gazans are teetering on the verge of a famine, and this cannot continue under the nose and eyes of the international community. Qatar continues to exercise maximum effort to arrive at a tangible result. Can you How can the Palestinians negotiate at gunpoint, especially that Israel is threatening of a future operation on Rafah? Is there any ray of hope to arrive at a breakthrough? As I said, these negotiations are not direct. We are dealing with both the parties with the facts and the elements at hand. I cannot comment on the domestic issues you mentioned. There is no doubt that discussions are underway within the Israeli circles, and this will have a bearing on the negotiations. As I said earlier, negotiations have been resumed here in Doha, and this per se is very positive. We are working and using all what we have at our hands in order to arrive at a tangible result.
From Reuters. Can you walk us through the next steps of this negotiation? Where do we go from here? Technical teams are meeting today. What happens in the days to come? Is there a proposal that is in the works to be sent back to Hamas or to Israel? Has that happened yet?
Thank you, Andrew. Of course, this is hugely dependent on the outcomes of these meetings, which have still not been concluded. Usually, I can't testify to the current iteration, how it's going to look in the next couple of days, but I can tell you how usually this works. As you rightly mentioned, the idea is first to get a proposal sent to both sides, and then you get replies on that proposal, and then you get counter proposals from each side. So we are at a point now where we are expecting that a counter proposal would be presented to Hamas, but this is not the final step in the process. Obviously, until we reach a place where both sides can agree on language of an agreement, these steps back and forth will continue. So we are expecting more meetings of such. We hope that more principal meetings will be taking place, but the situation is quite fluid in the negotiation process right now. So I can't give you a clear timeline or clear steps as we go forward.
Just to clarify, the counter proposal right now you're working on, what is being worked on, is a counter proposal to send to Hamas. Is that correct?
Well, in this step of the negotiation process, this is what is expected. That's what I'm willing to say.
Adval, once again from Al Jazeera English. You mentioned that what Qatar is trying to do now is to secure humanitarian ceasefire. Does that mean the permanent ceasefire objective is not on the table right now?
We've talked very clearly about phases in the pause. The first pause is supposed to be a humanitarian pause if we get an agreement on it that will focus on stopping the hostilities, making sure that we have an exchange of prisoners and hostages, getting the civilians out, and a lot of the details that you have already covered. We are hoping that would build momentum towards a second phase where you will have probably some sorts of ceasefire. But right now, the focus is on a humanitarian pause to take place in the first phase.
A question on the negotiations. Is there any intention to freeze the assault on Rafah until after the end of the holy month?
इतना ज़्यादा वैसे मेरा तो चेंज नहीं आया क्योंकि जिस तरह मेरा पैशन था अभी भी पैशन में कोशिश करता हूँ वैसे ही रहे लेकिन डेफिनेटली जिस तरह रोमी भाई ने बात की है कि आपको डिसिप्लिन होना पड़ता है स्पेशली डाइट के लिहाज से क्योंकि मैं बहुत ज़्यादा फूडी हूँ तो पहले तो हम सब कुछ ही खा लेते थे अब लेकिन देख के कुछ खाना पड़ता है तो उस चीज़ का और बाकी भी आप एक प्लान बना लेते हैं आप अपनी लाइफ का कि यार मैंने इस तरह चलना है उसमें न्यूट्रिशन भी आता है और जिस तरह दूध की बात हुई है दूध तो मुझे शुरू में बिल्कुल ही नहीं पसंद था क्योंकि बस वो ज़बरदस्ती पीना पड़ता था लेकिन अब सेफ मिल्क हमें इंस्ट्रक्टर खड़ा होता है उसके डंडे की वजह से हमें पीना ही पड़ता
of relief aid. Also, are there any assurances from the United States that this maritime corridor will be dedicated only for the delivery of relief aid, not as a passage for the evacuation of Gazans out? These are 7 questions in one. With respect to the maritime corridor, coordination is underway. The Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Mr. Al-Khalifi, was part of this relevant meeting. Qatar is playing an operational role, a very important operational role in cooperation with our partners, especially the transportation and delivery of relief aid into Gaza. In addition to the financial pledge promised by this Qatar for this maritime corridor, this maritime corridor does not eliminate the dire need for the constant flow of relief aid unconditionally through the inland border crossings. This is more important, and especially that the population is huge and they are in dire need for relief aid. More than 300,000 Gazans are besieged in the north part of Gaza Strip, lacking the basic necessities of life, and we are receiving very appalling reports. With respect to the visit you asked about, I do not have any update. We are in constant coordination and communication with our brothers in Palestine. There is no doubt that this visit is part of the bilateral relations between the State of Qatar and the Palestinian Authority to ensure that they play a positive role in this crisis. And Qatar will continue to support the Palestinians in general. Thank you for being here today.
That was Majid Al-Ansari, the Foreign Ministry spokesman here in Qatar, talking about the situation in Gaza. He said Qatar continues to support all efforts, all forms of delivery of aid to Gaza. He said that negotiations to reach a ceasefire are still continuing here in Doha, the Qatari capital. They were in